College was a blast. Man, I had a great time. As an undergrad at UCLA, hanging around Westwood with my friends. But I wasn't happy. Deep down inside, I wasn't feeling satisfied. Then I found my turning point. Sir, is this Ramadan Academy? Are you still accepting applicants? Can I still enroll? Today's the last day. What time do I have to be there to sign up? Right now, I'm on my way.
Every time.
Where am I going? Where have I been? The month of Ramadan is here again? I'm not focused. I'm not committed.
You're so alone. All you see is night and darkness all around. You feel so helpless. You can't see which way to go. Don't despair and never lose hope.
A season of change. I can't let another one pass me by. What's that Ramadan International Academy sign? I found my way. I'm on the way. I can't miss another day. I can't miss another night.
You can't repent and that it's way too late. You're so confused. Wrong decisions you have made haunt your mind and your heart is full of shame. But don't.
The school of Ramadan is the school of life, so don't let another one pass you by.
'Cause Allah is always by your side. Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah.
I want to experience Ramadan. I want to live it.
Inshallah, 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 you'll find your way.
Assalamu alaikum, Professor.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wallahi, I'm sorry I'm late. I just found out about Ramadan Academy, and I really want to join.
You came at the last minute. Go register your name and prepare for Ramadan Academy.
Really? All I have to do is register my name? I'm going to go do it right now, Professor.
Turn to Allah, He's never far away. Put your trust in Him, raise your hands and pray. Ooh, ya Allah, guide my steps, don't let me go astray. You're the only one who can show me the way. Show me the way.
Confirm.
Show me the way. Show me the way. You feel like you cannot go on. You feel so lost and that you're so alone. All you see is night and darkness all around. You feel so helpless, you can't see which way to go. Don't despair and never lose hope. 'Cause Allah is always by your side. Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah.
I hope I got your concentration. Concentration. Are you concentrating with me now? If so, that's great. If not, how are you concentrating in the prayer? Is it difficult to concentrate while you're fasting, or is it easier while praying?
Young man, this is inappropriate. Please turn off your mobile.
Oh, great. Now my phone is ringing. Should I check it or not? I better check it because it might be my boss. It is. It's a text message. Well, I might as well read the text message. How many prostrations did I make? 1 or 2?
We think of Ramadan, all the good things that we need to do and plan. It's not always easy, but we'll do the best we can.
Actually, this is a common thing happening, and of course, I advise everybody to take care from this. It is kind of respect, and it is kind of even respect to your prayer more than the others.
The mobile phones This is a gift that Allah gave us to be able to communicate and call people and seek help or check on others anywhere we go. Unfortunately, we did not give proper thanks to this ni'mah. Rather, many of us ended up misusing this ni'mah. Look in the haram, when the imam is praying with a melodious recitation and you see the phone rings going off all over the haram, while people are doing tawaf and while people are praying and in the masajid. What is this exactly?
We'll try to hold on and make it better every day. By helping others we intensify our love for Allah, we glorify. We focus on the future, our deen is our cure.
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير.
When you are praying, why don't you have the same feeling? There is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watching you, as opposed to the many millions of creation that are watching you. That's the first point that I'd like to mention in this. And the second is that when the scholars would write in the books of fiqh, they'd mention adab al-mashi ila salat, the etiquettes of walking to the masjid. And then you have some of the salaf, the pious predecessors, when they used to make wudu for salat, they turn all pale. This is before the salat. Imagine them praying. So Islam has given us this step by step until eventually you get to the obligatory prayer and have full concentration. So when you're walking to the masjid, you should be walking with tranquility and peace and being conscious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Then when you make wudu, you're even more conscious now that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you making wudu and that you are preparing yourself to clean yourself, in other words, so you can stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pray. And then you walk into the masjid early and you pray the sunnah, and that also gives you more of this concentration until you end up praying. And then inshaAllah ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows upon you this tranquility, and you are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is watching you, and you pray in full concentration.
Number two, make sure when you're praying that you remove any sort of distraction. A person who is standing in the prayer in front of a TV screen, so he's picking a phrase or a site from a movie or the news, and meanwhile he's praying. There is no such prayer.
Sure, it is disturbing, sure. But what I don't like sometimes, that sometimes people forget, and the reaction of the other were very aggressive against them. So I'm advising everybody, advise, don't fight.
قد أفلح المؤمنون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us saying, successful indeed are the believers. الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون. Those who offer their salah in a submissive state. Subhanallah, these two verses are sufficient for us to know what we need in terms of attaining happiness. A lot of us, subhanallah, when you look into people's lives, they're chasing things, they're chasing happiness, they're chasing success. Whether one looks into buying a house, getting a family, etc., finding a new partner, getting a new car, etc. Everyone's chasing happiness. But one thing we need to understand as Muslims is that wherever you're chasing, remember, whether it's that woman, whether it's that car, whether it's that house, ultimately these are temporary things. These are things which will either die, which will rust away, etc. Whether it's a car, for example, it will rust away. A woman, she may leave, she may pass away. So whatever success you're looking in for into these things, you will not find it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us that success is in the salah. So I want brothers and sisters to really understand this, that this is what makes us Muslim. Remember the difference between you right now sitting at home and those whom we call disbelievers. The difference between us is the covenant of salah. If we do not pray salah, how can we call ourselves Muslim?
Continuing in our conversation about concentration during prayer. Normally, when we pray, 1,000,001 distractions come to our mind. Things concerning our children, our work, all sorts of distractions. Does that happen to you in the month of Ramadan? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Really, these are various spears and arrows of the shaitan to distract us during our prayers. But personally, during the month of Ramadan, these interruptions or these persuasions and distractions are very, very limited, because one is more concentrated this time, because if this moon pass away and one has not reaped the benefits of Ramadan, it is actually disastrous.
When you love someone, you want to see them all the time. And if you are not able to see them, you want to hear their voice. And if you're not able to hear their voice, you want to hear their news. And whenever you see them, hear them, hear about their news, your heart feels special. And it cannot go away from your mind, because that person you love so much, and you want to obey them. So if you want to hear about their news, if they're far from you, you want to hear them if you can't see them, and you want to see them if you can, and if you can see them, you want to see them more. You want to talk to them, you want them to talk to you, and you want to see what pleases them and what displeases them. And when you see their house, your heart starts pumping. When they come visit you, you feel like you wanted to honor them and so on. So you want to visit the house of the one that you love. Are you visiting the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You want to hear the sound of the one you love. Are you listening to the Quran? You want to see the one you love. Are you reading the Quran? You want to obey the one you love. Are you obeying the orders of Allah? If anything displeases the one that you love, you avoid. Are you doing that with the Quran? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us in the Quran to ponder upon the meanings. أفلا يتدبرون القرآن ليدبروا آياته, so they can think about it. Now there are keys for that. First key is sincere intention to Allah, to understand the Quran and ponder and enjoy it. Sincere intention to Allah. Tawakkul ala Allah, you have to depend on Allah Azza wa Jal, that no one is going to help you understand the Quran except Rabbul Alameen subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you take the means and learn and go to the sessions of knowledge and all that.
Inshallah, you'll find your way.
The words of Allah, the Quran, sent to us by the Almighty, so we can hear and obey.
We cannot live our life without the Holy Quran. You must listen carefully to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because your safety and my safety will be with this great verses of the Holy Quran. We are here in this world for a test, and this test, and you will have questions in the Day of Judgment.
Hear and obey with Sheikh Rifat Muhammad in Ramadan, only on Huda TV.
Also you have to use your eyes, looking at the Quran. You have to use your ears, listening to the Quran. You have to repeat. Repetition is a main key when it comes to Quran. No repeating, no memorization. And if no memorization, it's very hard to tadabbur. Because tadabbur, you have some time now. You are not going to look around for a mushaf to see what if you don't have, what if you're driving. Then you think about the ayah, so you memorize it. So sincerity, depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, looking at the Quran with your eyes to review and repeat, listening to the Quran from someone else to recite. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to listen from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ubay ibn Ka'b and all that, listen himself. Doing it in tahajjud. If you don't do the Quran in your Qiyam and the Tahajjud, believe me, you are missing lots of things. Many meanings only come on those special times. The day has its own distractions. The light, the day, the noise, people going and coming and all that. You are distracted. You may think about an ayah of Quran, but when everybody is asleep, when the night is peaceful, you wake up, make the wudu, pray 2 rak'ah, and start reading the ayat. It's a completely different experience. So one of the keys of thinking about the Quran is tadabbur, is tahajjud. Attending the halaqah of ilm and knowledge, and asking the people of knowledge. People of knowledge, Allah bless them not only with memorizing certain knowledge, but with understanding it and relating it as well. So, these are few of the keys of understanding and making tadabbur of the Quran.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون.
The number one characteristic of Iman, that the mu'mins are successful. Qad is an emphasis, that indeed there can be no doubt that the believers have attained falah. And falah means ultimate success. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ. This is a statement of fact. Success, victory. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ. Who? Al-mu'minun. And then Allah follows a long list. Who are the mu'minun? And the number one, right at the top of the list. And if you disqualify there, then forget the rest of the list. The number one requirement to be amongst those who have succeeded are not those who pray. No. No, those who are الَّذِينَ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. They have attained the actual khushu'. And what is khushu'? Khushu' means a humility, a humbleness. Khushu' means khasha'a, and khasha'a means to be humbled.
In terms of concentrating in the prayer and the salah, this starts before the prayer. And the parable we can give is that of a fan. If you were to switch off that fan, it would not stop immediately, rather take some time to wind down. And likewise the mind, when the mind comes from work, from school, from a game, from sport, and comes into the prayer, that mind is going 100 miles an hour. So likewise, that sunnah prayer, that supererogatory prayer, that optional prayer before the salah, it helps that mind to slowly come to a halt, so that person, that mind is ready for the obligatory prayer, that which is fard. And so concentration actually begins before the prayer, as opposed to starting to concentrate in the salah when that mind is racing at 100 miles an hour.
When a person is fasting, or when I'm fasting, for example, let's speak from my personal experience. I notice that when I'm fasting, my thoughts become much more clear. So the whispers begin to slow down. The whispers from the shaitan begin to slow down, and they become not as effective as they were before. And your khushu begins to increase when you're making salah. You feel very different. You feel more connected to Allah. And it seems to me that moment that as soon as you take that bite of food, I've experienced this before. It seemed like my character changes. My character changes. I noticed that many times. That while I'm fasting, I'm in a more relaxed state. I'm in a more reflective state. You know, so like I said, you have a better khushu when you're making salah. It's a very different feeling versus when you're not fasting.
We have Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, a great scholar of the past. He gave a story, a parable in fact, of the mouse and the camel. There's a mouse who fell in love with a camel. And so what did this mouse do? It said to the camel, "O camel, my house and everything in it belongs to you. This is how much I love you." So the camel, looked at the mouse, looked at the house, and said, "You either buy a house that is befitting for the one you love, meaning me, or you find another love for your house." And he said, "Likewise, O servant of Allah, your prayer, it either befits the Lord that you are praying to, or you find another Lord befitting of your prayer." This is a beautiful example of us in terms of the concentration. And this is a beautiful example to show us the concentration that we should have in our prayers.
For peace and mercy, we can do grace and mercy, we can do this easily.
For me, actually, I can concentrate more when my stomach is empty, you know, especially when you feel weak for the sake of Allah. It's, I think you can reach the maximum, you know, deep feeling in prayer, you know. And even when you pray Taraweeh after Fitar, you know, the feeling of this group, of this prayer together, it's giving you the good spiritual.
No, instead it increases our concentration. Our khushu is derived from fasting because the goal and objective of fasting is God consciousness. So it's when we are actually fasting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and observing all the rules set down for fasting, then obviously we derive taqwa. And so if we derive a God consciousness, then obviously during our prayers we have this presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are standing in front of our Creator and that we are worshipping because of Him. So obviously we have to derive more closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
The masjids or the mosques were the first institutions in Islam and in the whole world where everything was conducted in them. So the armies were dispatched from the masjids, and the most important meetings were conducted in the masjids. People learned about their religion in the masjid. People came to ask the Prophet ﷺ about their problems in the masjid. Unfortunately nowadays, the masjid's role has been segregated from life, and people are trying their level best to make a partition between Islam, between this life, between what we need, and between the masjids. And that is why only thing that you see masjids used for are prayer, and after 10 or 15 minutes from concluding the prayer, they close and lock the doors of the masjids. And this shows you how efficient the plans of the enemies of Islam are to keep the Muslims away from the masjids. Once we revive the role of the masjids in our communities and our societies, once we establish that people come to the masjid during the 5 daily prayers, only then we will be, inshallah, restoring the role of the Muslim Ummah in the world.
You know, one time I was in Ramadan giving a lecture in a mosque, and they had the habit to bring tea. So they bring all these tea cups, and then the people were all like doing like this. Maybe, I don't know how many people there, with a spoon in the teacup. And it was like ding, 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 ding. It was like disturbing me. I really could not find the words. Cling, cling, you know, people and cling, 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 cling. So I said, please, people, brothers, I cannot concentrate with this. You're all like doing gling, gling, gling. I cannot speak.
Yeah, it's a problem.
You know, it's disturbing you. And you know, you also feel that the people are like not looking not respecting. Yeah, they're not interested. And this is, by the way, this is a good trick when you give a public lecture. You know, look always to the people who you see they like the lecture, because it's mostly have a good effect on you.
I'm amazed to find out that many sisters are spending the entire day in the kitchen cooking and so on and so forth, preparing for that meal.
Like in Saudi Arabia, we have also, you can find this very nice, every mosque has breakfast. All the mosques, you can find laborers coming from all over many nationalities.
The proper way of breaking your fast is once you hear the adhan, obviously before the adhan is called, you're sitting and making dua. This is very precious time. Don't waste this opportunity, because your dua will be answered during this time.
You feel so lost and that you're so alone. All you see is night and darkness all around. You feel so helpless, you can't see which way to go. Don't despair and never lose hope, 'cause Allah is always by your side. Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah.